Okay, we are continuing the story. Kind of remember where we left off, but where we are continuing the new Snowbreak story. I don't remember the name of this one, I'm gonna be honest. But it's what version is this even? I don't actually know what version this is either. Alright, well, whatever. The Enya, the new Enya, yeah, that one. Our armored vehicle finally reached the edge of the desert. There was nothing particularly remarkable about this place, just endless yellow sand stretching as far as the eye could see. Breaking Bad POV. But Enya and I fell silent. We both knew this was the end of this world. I pressed the gas pedal to the floor, and the armored yellow vehicle sped silently across the desert, closing in on the edge within a minute. I turned slightly, gently covering Enya's eyes with my hands, and closed my own as well. Enya was surprised by my actions, her voice soft but curious. Don't worry, it'll be over soon. She grabbed my hand, her voice carrying an odd, almost unexplainable calm. 分析員って不確かなことをするときにいつも目を閉じちゃいますね。でも私はこうしなくてもきっと何か別の方法で。What do you... Before I could ask more, the vehicle crossed the boundary. Everything around us was engulfed in a bright light. When I opened my eyes again, we were no longer in the armored vehicle. Familiar sight of crumbling buildings, empty streets, and destroyed cars reappeared before us. Evidently, we had returned to Zone 16. Immediately turned to Enya. Now that we were back in the real world, her memory should have been restored. As I expected, her eyes widened in disbelief as she looked around, extending her hands, staring at them for a while. Her expression mirrored mine when I recalled my illusory memories back at the cabin. Told her. It's okay. It's all over now. I held her tightly in my embrace, gently patting her back to soothe her. I could feel her trembling form slowly begin to calm down. We had a really long dream. Everything in that dream was fabricated by the memes in Zone 16. Although I suspect that Enya's desperate desire to protect me also played a part in creating the illusion, but I didn't voice this conjecture. Nope. We did not. But Enya, your fantasies did save me from danger. I lowered my head, gently cupping her face in my hands. If it weren't for you, the mimetic chaos in my mind might have destroyed my consciousness entirely. Enya remained... Jeez. Enya remained silent, clenching her fist just as I began to worry. She suddenly raised her hands and began to vigorously rub her own face. It was a surprisingly adorable gesture, something Enya, always the mature one, rarely did. I couldn't help but smile at the sight of it. Giving herself a little pep talk, she scanned her surroundings. With that, she leaned in and began feeling around my body. What are you looking for? I fished my terminal from my pocket and handed her. She swiftly tapped the screen a few times and shook her head. As she spoke, traces of tears still lingered in her eyes, but it didn't diminish the resolve in her gaze one bit. Right. By holding back to spare Enya's feelings, I had underestimated her. I had always known that Enya Murphy was never one to quit in the face of setbacks. But I also understood that didn't mean she didn't need someone to take care of her. She had just grown used to hiding her wounds from others, even from herself. Looking at the delicate hand she reached out to me, I immediately took it and pulled her into my arms with even more determination. Let's go, Enya. Okay, so where are we going? That being said, making our way to the periphery of the city wasn't going to be easy. The city center was in ruins. In the maze of steel and concrete, we could barely find our bearings. At this point, all we could do was take it slow and focus on each step. With that in mind, Enya and I chose a relatively wide road and set off.
分析員、一つ気になることがあります。
Is it about the meme Zone 16?
ええ、分析員も気づいていると思いますが、ここに入ってからずっと
Oh, so where are our
ミーム
friends?
とやらにもてあそばれてきました。
Where's
ですが、
Marianne
私たちは
and
今となっても
Lizzie?
あの
I
ミ
think
ーム
that
に
was
つい
her
て
name.
何も知らないと言いますか。
True, most of what we know about the memes comes from Lizzie. I was right, let's go. And she always gives off this unstable vibe. Speaking of her, I wonder where she is now.
あの子ならエリア16に詳しいようですし、はぐれた時も周りに敵がいなかったから、それよりもミームの影響が心配です。このまま進んで軍の正体みたいに方向を見失ってしまったら、いやだからもっとミームについて知っておきたいと思いました。
Okay.
ミームの影響を打ち消す方法、さらには逆手にとって利用する方法を見つけられたら。
Interesting strategy. Use the memes. Anya's plan seemed even bolder than I had anticipated.
と言っても、今はミームについて調べる暇はなさそうですね。
Actually, we do, if we really want to. I stopped and pointed to my head. Some of the mimetic energy I absorbed from the light vortex still lingers in my mind.
そんな分析員、どこか具合が悪いとかあります？
I'm fine, most of the energy had already been consumed, what's left is too weak to affect me. And now I should be able to release it. It was something I had been considering to do for a while. This could be the best shot we had to dig into the memes, but it also might be very risky. After all, we didn't know the possible consequences. The question now is, what do we do with these memes? From the look on Enya's face, she seemed to already have an idea.
ただの推測ですが、ミームが情報体であることに間違いがなければ、
I was thinking the same thing, honestly.
意識に残っているミームを改変できないか。
I was thinking the same. Wow, bro, me and Edge did the same for you. You want me to mark them, right?
ええ、その通りです。
In modern biology, when researchers study wild animals, they often capture some, attach trackers to them, and then release them back into their habitat and observe their movements and behavior. What we were planning to do was quite similar. Annie wanted me to mark the memes and then release them. Since memes tend to spread on their own, we could track them and follow follow their path to find a way out of the city. It's a brilliant idea. What kind of information do you think we should mark on them?
それじゃあ、光はどうでしょう。そしたらミームがはっきり見えるようになって追跡しやすいんじゃないかと思い。
Alright, let's do this. Shut my eyes, focused on the remaining memes in my mind. I imagine a bright light and whispered the word light several times before channeling the memes out of my consciousness. Magnetic energy flowed smoothly through my fingers, streaming outward once again. The remnants of the memes in my mind were faint, but it only took a few seconds for them to dissipate completely. I opened my eyes. To my surprise, nothing seems to have changed. And yeah, do you sense anything unusual?
いえ、今のところは特に。
Okay. Enya scanned the area as still expected, but failed to find any trace of change.
光を加えたから目立つようになったはずですが。
She looked like she was about to climb onto the nurse, ripped up to get her view. I gently held her shoulders to stop her. I helped a slap escaping me. It's alright. Well, it isn't exactly a foolproof plan, so it's absolutely normal that it doesn't work. Let's just look for a guidepost or something. It might take a bit of time, though. Before I could finish, Enya suddenly tensed up. I followed her gaze. She was staring intently at the street in front of us, but I didn't see anything unusual. Then she raised an arm and pointed at a street light on the corner. It was daytime, yet at some point when we were looking, the streetlight had turned on.
分析員、見てください。あの街灯の点滅する頻度は分析員と一緒に見たあの一番輝いた星と同じです。
Vivid memories surged back to me in an instant. In the desert, on the hillside near the cabin, I had pointed out a star to Enya. Again and again on countless nights. Though I knew it was a fabricated memory, in this moment I could still feel it, just as vividly as before. The star that once illuminated the sky now lit the path ahead for us. We exchanged a meaningful glance and ran toward the streetlight. After flickering for a while, the streetlight's glow began to fade, just as another light far off in the distance flickered to life. One by one, the streetlight guided our way, leading us forward. As we followed them, the buildings ahead began to look familiar. In the distance, the containment wall of Zone 16 came into view. What the heck was that for a second? We should be able to get through to Marian now.
やってみましょう。
I pulled out my terminal and called Marian. The connection indicator spun rapidly. Enya and I both looked at the holographic screen, waiting. About a minute later, the terminal suddenly emitted a sound. Connection. The comm signal was still weak, but at least we'd managed to get through. Marian, are you okay? Where are you? Are you okay? Are you hurt? You weren't affected by the memes. The situation had escalated so quickly earlier that I'd assumed both Marian and Lizzie were affected just like I was. Okay. Are you talking, Before I could finish, the frantic cry for Marian suddenly broke through the comms. City center? She meant me and I were in the city center? But we were clearly on the periphery of the city. There wasn't even any fog here. Wait, fog? My heart suddenly began to race. It wasn't that there was no fog here. It was that we hadn't seen any since we left the desert. Annie and I had been so caught up discussing the memes that we hadn't even realized we were already under their influence. We had completely forgotten about the fog, which meant we'd lost our bearings and misjudged where we were. Damn it. I should have seen this coming. Very seeing how strange the fog was when we first entered Zone 16. At a split second, I dropped my guard just as Enya suddenly tackled me to the ground. A moment later, a massive chunk of stone came crashing down where I had been standing. And that was only the beginning. The buildings around us all began to shudder before collapsing, sending debris crashing down like a meteor shower. Over the radio, Marian's voice grew fainter, nearly drowned out by the howling wind. No, Marian, listen to me. Don't come anywhere near this place. I didn't have time to think about whether my words were getting through. I just screamed into the comms with all my might. You need to find the mastermind behind this. Use the process of elimination. Remember, process of elimination. Next moment, I stuffed the terminal back in my pocket and grabbed Enya's outstretched hand. While I was talking to Marian, Enya had activated her access and began shielding me from the relentless barrage of flying debris. Okay, we ran frantically through the rubble Okay, I can't read sometimes, I swear, bro. But as far as I could see, the entire city had plunged into an apocalyptic nightmare. There was no shelter, nowhere to hide. No, I can feel it. There's real energy in them. Looks like our enemy is finally getting serious. The situation had already spiraled beyond my predictions, but my mind was still racing, trying to piece something together. Over the comms, I didn't hear any sounds of debris attacks breaking out on Marian's side, meaning the attacks must be limited range. If we keep heading one direction, we should. Just then I suddenly halted and grabbed Annie's hand, who was a step behind me. Right in front of us, barely 3 meters away, yawned a bottomless chasm. Had we stopped a second later, we would have plunged straight in. But the falling debris gave us no time to stop. A massive boulder hurled towards Enya's back, and I had no choice but to turn us around and take the hit for her. Ugh. The rock itself didn't cause much damage, but the energy within it surged to my body on impact, forcing me backwards straight into the abyss. I had felt Enya's hand tighten around my arm, but it didn't slow the fall. In the blink of an eye, we had tumbled into the bottom of the darkness together. Okay. And I think next up is a fight one? 2 fight ones. Okay. So we'll do those 2, and then the progress 4, and then we'll call it. Oh, but, Okay. You know what? Well, I guess it would make more sense to... Yeah. We'll see what happens. I'll decide after. Yeah, why not? Alright. Alright. Let me tighten the freaking screw on my mic. It always gets loose. And it also have like a mic arm that has like 18 screws that you have to turn to tighten it, and they always get loose for like no reason.
ここは
What is
分
this
析員が
place?
いない分析員
Enemies
分析
coming?
員いないか
Where?
まず
Here.
は進むしかない
Okay.
分析員どうか無事で
Can I have this? Thank you.
そろそろ時間ですね
Alright, kill enemy. Okay, can you guys like group up? Okay.
こんなことは避けたかったんですが
Wow, that changed my perspective at least 100 times. Where am I going? What?
さあ勇気を出して
Okay, well, let's just nuke these guys.
懺悔しててください
Okay, bye-bye. Okay. Kill. Kill. Alright, all dead. So, okay, we're just doing waves of enemies. We're not going anywhere. Okay, great.
痛いの
So over here. Okay, we're just gonna...
私がいるから大丈夫
Come on, let me
じゃあ
spin.
そろそろ時間ですね
Okay, last one. We're just gonna
ここ
shoot
でひ
you.
とまずお休みしましょう
Alright, and
すぐに
final
治り
wave.
ますよ
Right here.
勇気を出して
Okay, brother. I fell. Of course I fell. Why wouldn't I fall?
立ってなさい
Come on, get over the hump. Where big enemy?
勇気を出して
Okay, just
別の
two
解決策があればいい
semi.
のですが
Honestly, that was fine. They were the easiest part, bruh.
大丈夫です
Not that the other enemies were hard, it's just they were freaking spread out all over the damn place. Alright. Cool, easy peasy. Hello, good sirs.
道を守ってあげる風が来ますよ
Come on. There we go.
これらの敵
Alright.
エリア16に入ってから最
This
初に出会った
place looks like
しく
death.
いくら倒していってもまた
This
立ち上が
place
って
just
しまう
looks like sewage.
やはり
Big enemy?
さあ
No.
勇気を出して
Spread out
邪魔させま
enemies.
せんから
Yay.
別の解決策
Okay,
が
they're
あ
all
れば
dead.
いいのですが
Is that it? Wow, that was it. Okay, that was... Yeah. See what happens when you don't put enemies around all over the place?
これらの意識で
You
動
know.
揺することはありません
But whatever, it's fine. Okay, Shattered Fantasy. Oh boy. Oh boy, this song. This is their, like, tragedy song. I do like the song. I just wish there was, a little bit more variety in songs that they use. But I get it. They probably don't have, like, the biggest music team. I will say, for a small music team, they definitely have good songs. Anyways, flames everywhere. Endless flames. Massive Valkyrie Games venue, once bordering the city center, was now completely engulfed in fire. I stood before it, the searing heat lashing against my face as the wind carried tiny embers, igniting even more of the city. I knew I wasn't really here. I had just fallen into the abyss within, yeah. Even though my eyes told me I was in Containment Zone Aleph, this couldn't have been reality. Yet it was all too overwhelming. I just couldn't detach myself and observe, because back in 2057, when the descent devastated the Valkyrie Games venue, it was exactly like this. Back then I had rushed into the venue, leading the security team to rescue as many civilians as we could. But they were only a fraction of the victims. Countless others perished in the flames. I remember vividly the many civilians still stranded in the center of this venue at the end of the rescue operation. They had already been corrupted by Titagen. There was no way they could survive. If we had tried to save them, it would only lead to further Titagen contamination. The decision makers made their choice without hesitation, but for me, for other reasons, and for those civilians, that decision changed everything. I closed my eyes amid the raging flames. As the last enemy fell, Anya was nearly spent. She slowed her pace, but her gaze remained locked on the path ahead. At the end of the road, a beam of light streamed down through an opening, as if promising a way out. Hold on, I need to do something for my dad real quick. All right, we continue. At the end of the road, a beam of light streamed down through an opening, as if promising a way out.
分析員がいるならきっと手に入りやすい情報ほど信じてはいけないっていうのでしょう。
As she repeated that thought in her mind, she suddenly turned to look behind her. Okay. A blurry figure appeared before Enya. The moment it noticed her gaze, it froze, standing still like a shadow. Suddenly, Enya tightened the grip on her gun. At that moment, the figure shuddered slightly. Then faintly, she thought she heard a voice. No, she didn't exactly hear the voice. It was as if the words appeared as an invisible screen before Enya's eyes, like subtitles.
私はヘイムダル部隊の隊員エンヤ・マーフィー。
The voice fell silent for a long time, as though trying to process the meaning of the word.
そちらの名前を伺っても。
Okay.
エリア16。エリア16の住民たちでしょうか。いいえ。この集まりでも人間でもない。
Enya's eyes widened in disbelief.
どうして町なんかに自我が？わからない。誕生した時から我々は飲み込んできた。
Okay.
この前見た光
Light vortex and the fog and all other enemies in the sea. Was that all you're doing?
あれはこの町の一部、町に入った人間の。
Enya immediately grew wary, but the figure made no further move.
我々は何もしない。入ってきた無実の
Trapping
人
your
を閉じ
adventures
込め
in
て。
forever. That's where you're
それ
protecting
があな
it?
たたちの。それはここの苦痛に触れた人間は。
As the figure spoke, a light vortex slowly unfolded before Enya's eyes. At its center, a face began to emerge.
分析員。
Instinctively, Enya clenched her fist. Inside the light vortex, my face, twisted in agony, a large bead of sweat rolling down his forehead, my forehead.
彼の声が聞こえるはずだ。
You should be able to hear his voice. He threw himself into the pain to save you.
彼は
He mourns for those who suffer from the descent.
人間同士の
He is indignant at those in power who treat human lives with utter disregard.
助けてやれ
He can never let go of those he couldn't save.
思い出して人は生きている。
Everyone has their own cross to bear.
確かに
But he is different. He is strong, so strong that he managed to absorb some of our consciousness. No ordinary human could withstand this level of pain and despair.
欲しい。
But it ends here, engulfed in so much pain, no one could save him. The voice trailed off, and the next moment, Enya stepped forward resolutely, reaching toward the light vortex that held Finny's tormented face.
苦しみ。なら、私にも見せてください。
The moment her hand moved closer, a small flame ignited before her eyes, making her instinctively step back. But instead of consuming her, the fire flickered. That's what I was trying to say. The fire flickered and expanded, slowly bathing surroundings in its glow. When she opened her eyes again, she was home. January 19th, 2048. Today was a special day for the little girl. She had finished her homework from the AI tutor ahead of time and immediately ran into the kitchen. Damn. Yeah, they kind of predict the future, but that's like 2025, not 2048. Anyways. Actually, they predict the future. I'm saying this as if this didn't come out like a few weeks ago. For some reason, I was so used to playing the older story. I guess that didn't even come out that long ago either. Anyhow, carefully pouring the batter into the cake mold. She placed it in the oven, then began preparing the cream and fruit while waiting. By the time evening arrived, a perfectly decorated strawberry cake sat proudly on the dining table. Yeah, I'm so used to playing games for like forever ago now, not recent ones. Anywho, back to this game. She stuck candles in the cake, seeing that it was already 9 p.m. on the terminal display. She thought a small sigh of relief. Right on time, as expected, the familiar sound of footsteps echoed from outside the door. The girl quickly jumped off the chair and ran toward the door. As she reached for the knob, it swung open from the outside. A woman in a white lab coat stood there, looking exhausted. When she saw the girl, her face lit up with a warm smile. The woman scooped Enya up into her arms, nuzzling her cheek affectionately. Only when Enya began giggling from the sensation did she finally set her down.
今日もちゃんといい子にしてた？
宿題を終わらせたし、自分でなんでもないよ。お母さんは？
お母さんも頑張ったよ。手術は3件もしたし。
Paused for a moment, hesitating. When she saw Enya's expectant eyes, she continued.
いや、お母さん、イエロ社に行かなきゃいけないの。
今日行くの？
そうよ。そこですごく嫌なことが起きてるから、みんなを助けに行かなきゃ。
そっか。お母さん。
Beyond burgers? What?
教会なき医師だよ。
Dr. Beyond burgers, not burgers. Enya nodded, still not fully understanding, but she knew that every time her mother came home, she had new stories about helping people in need.
さあ、これから荷物をまとめなきゃいけないから。
お母さん、待って。
Suddenly remembering something, little Enya quickly ran back to the dining table and hid the cake in the fridge. She decided to celebrate her birthday after her mother came back from Eurus. She didn't want to distract her before she left. And with that thought, for the first time, Enya learned how to set aside her own desires. When her mother finished packing and was ready to leave with her suitcase, Enya, as always, walked her to the door. The door closed gently and the sound of footsteps gradually faded. Too thoughtful for her age, Enya lowered her head in silence, curling up on the floor facing the door. Just then, the footsteps that had just vanished suddenly returned. Before Enya could wipe the tears from her face, the door swung open again.
あら、お母さんが行っちゃうのが嫌なの？
The woman lovingly scooped Enya into her arms and led her back inside. Then, as a performing magic trick, she pulled a giant stuffed bear from the wardrobe.
私ったら、お誕生日プレゼントを用意したのに、エンヤに渡すのを忘れちゃってたわ。
お母さん、私の誕生日、覚えてたの？
The tears she had been holding back burst forth, and at last the little girl dropped all pretense, sobbing into her mother's
お
embrace.
母さんは何があっても、エンヤの誕生日を忘れたりしないよ。きっといつかエンヤは、自分の誕生日と趣味を覚えててくれる大事な人と出会うわ。
And everything fades to gray. The scene of the past memories froze. Lily stood before the birthday cake, now placed back on the dining table. The flickering candlelight cast a soft warm glow.
そう。私は子供の頃から優しさと愛に包まれて育ちました。ヘイムダルの隊員たちと、世の中のいろんな人々に比べて、私は苦労知らずに育った恵まれた側の人間でしょ。だから私たちは不幸な人々を助けないと、守らないと。その教えを守りながら、私は今まで戦ってきました。
In the blink of an eye, Enya felt her consciousness yanked away. Suddenly, she was back underground. But the life vortex, the one that had shown Finney's image, was gone.
私、これって。
どうしてだ。我々に触れたというのに、なぜ苦しんでいない。
なぜそんなことを聞くか知りませんけど、私にだって嫌だったり悲しかったり苦しかった思い出があるんです。
She powers through them.
昔、分析員を失ってしまいそうになったあの時。
I don't know when that was. As Enya spoke, the underground cavern began to tremble.
そんな思い出があるからこそ、私はみんなをしっかり守らなくちゃ。私はあなたたちの経験した苦しみを味わったこともないし、代わりに誰かを許す立場にもありません。ただそんなんじゃ守ったことにはなりませんから。
In an instant, the cavern walls burst apart, sending shards of rock flying as beams of light pierced through the darkness.
まだわからないのか。彼を救ったとしても、あなたはもうここから出られ。
本当に。
On hearing this, Enya's gaze remained steady, unwavering.
分析員のことはあなたたちよりずっと知っていますし、見ていてください。必ず来てくれ。
Okay. Consciousness of Zone 16 fell silent, but the next moment, a relentless barrage of debris crackling with energy came surging toward Enya. Her exosuit activated instantly, unleashing a violent storm in response. A battle of wind against stone erupted at the heart of Zone 16. Okay. At the same time, I opened my eyes. Yo, what up, Lizzie? Right in front of me stood a figure with a giraffe's head. Had I not grown used to Lizzie's habit of surprise appearances, I might have thought I was still dreaming. At that moment, I found myself standing face to face with her, perfectly still on the side of the street. My limbs felt stiff, as though I'd been holding this position for far too long. Sketchbook in hand, Lizzie was completely absorbed in her artistic creation, using me as a model. I swear she got the sketchbook and pencil. I had no idea. I glanced at the page, and to my surprise, it actually looked pretty good.
もう少しの間じっとしてて。それにしても立ったまま寝るなんて分析員さん、私よりもキリンっぽいね。あ、でもキリンでもたまに。
Lizzie's joke did nothing to ease my tension. I felt like I had just woken from a long dream, but I couldn't recall a single damn detail. Blame, sacrifice, death, these vague memories still haunted me. For some reason, my heart felt shielded, protected from the weight of those emotions. Thankfully, my memories weren't impaired. I still remembered how, before I blacked out, I had absorbed an energy blast to protect Enya. Where could she be? Lizzie, where are we?
いい質問だね。あなたと私が出会ったことを一本の線に定義するなら。
That makes literally no fucking sense. She meant we were back at the vending machine. Okay, so you meant it literally. I thought you were trying to throw some, like, Newton's physics law, Einstein's relativity bullshit on me. Have you seen Enya?
もう一人なら30分前くらいにここを通ったよ。
Okay, she asked me to pass along a message. She's already eliminated half the area. These words put me at ease. It seemed Marion had heard my instruction and was carrying them out smoothly.
ねえ、あの二人のことは聞くのに、私のこと全然聞かないじゃない。戦闘能力のあるあなたたちと違って、
I'm just a delicate girl.
私は一
You know how hard it was for me to skip the puzzle of those monsters? Come on, you practically made Zone 16 your home now. Is there really anything here that could hurt you? I raised my head and looked toward the center of the city. Shrouded in thick fog, the entire city felt eerily quiet. I frowned, then suddenly reached out, pulled Lizzie's giraffe head and mask off, and put it on myself. Instantly, the fog around me vanished, and the silence shattered. Explosions and tremors roared to life, echoing through the city center. Just as I expected, Enya was still in there. I turned and tossed the head mask back to Lizzie, and started toward the city center. Before I could take another step, Lizzie suddenly grabbed my arm.
中は危険だよ。
Her tone was no longer playful, but uncharacteristically calm.
感じたんだ。エリア16中のミームが中心エリアに吸い寄せられたの。
I think I will next time. Like next chapter I do read out these, even though they're voiced, because it just makes it more interesting. Even though it's just more words for me to trip up on,
状
but
況は今までと全く違うんだ。ミーム、
for the rest of this one, I'll just,
かぶり物をかぶって。
you know, leave it be.
方向もわからない人には誰も助けられないでしょ。
This is the real you, isn't it? I picked up the soda that had rolled to the side, placed into the hand Lizzie still had on my arm. Thanks for the heads up, but actually, not wearing the head mask is exactly how I'll see the way ahead. Just as you said, the mimetic world's merging with reality. The person I'm looking for is at the intersection, and she's likely the cause of it. To find her, I need to see both worlds at once, not just one or the other. And I want to share a little meme with you. It's a saying from Philosia.
へえ。な、
Fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. The warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Well, we're at 36 minutes, so I say that is a stopping point. We'll see if I can do all, like, 3 progresses and these 2 all in one episode. But, yeah, hopefully. But anywho, thank you for watching this episode of Snowbreak. If you want to see more, there's a whole playlist. And yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, bye bye.